Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Fever choke at home 80-81. And, it was great to see Grace Berger back out there on the court, return to Indy. I know she's a fan favorite and happy she finally landed somewhere. But this is crunch time for the Fever. Every win, every loss matters at this point. There's a lot of parity. Playoff stands are looking tight. And games like this will decide whether you get to what kind of run you get to make in the playoffs, whether you're going to play against a world beater or not. And these are the games you got to win. The Fever did themselves no favors tonight. I mean, this game hurt on so many levels. It hurt because we started the game flat. The first quarter and the third quarter were abysmal. The third quarter, digging in such a hole, it was everything to try to climb it back out of it. And props to the team for storming back, but you should have never been in this place to start with. And it's part of it's a lack of energy. Part of it is the lack of cohesion. I understand that there are new players, but again, we find ourselves in a tough situation and crunch time mismanagement in the fourth quarter and another loss. The biggest culprit for this loss is going to be clearly the turnovers and the conversion of those turnovers and the perfect storm of where the Fever are really deficient. And 27 points on 17 turnovers is way too much. Really hard to deal with a deficit like that. And that's a lot of the game. Like, that's so many easy points we gave up. And it's compounded with our bad transition D. We've had a struggle on transition D a lot of this year. It's stuff I've made videos around the beginning of the year kind of pointing out. And here we are again. And you're compounding bad decisions, plays, and turnovers with easy points the other way. And this extends out to just how many wide open wing mistakes that we make, leaving players wide open on the wings, and they catch the ball and they punish us with a three. And they didn't even shoot that great tonight, but Leroux started looking like she was, the second coming. She was back-to-back threes on us and stuff like that. It's just like, man, oh man, like if we're gonna give them a shot, at least make it a little bit difficult. Don't recklessly close out or side close out or chase or whatever you want to call that. And what's crazy about all of the defensive woes and the turnovers and the transition stuff that we had is we actually played some pretty good D. I mean, the Fever, Odyssey, Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, they kept Paige Beckers pretty in check for most of this game. She was 6 for 19, scoring only 16 points. Overall, -1 for her time on the floor. She whined probably more on the court than she did scoring. So, that's a good thing. On the other side of the coin of the defense, though, the offense, we had some bright spots. Obviously, Kelsey Mitchell, 24 points. Even on a down shooting night at 46%, that's down for her. She was, of course, the one that took the final shot of the game. We'll get into that. But she was willing us to score late in the game and was the only reason we got within 1 point with some of the plays she was making. Aaliyah Boston, again, had the ref monster on her back all game long, but she still got 14 points, shot 50%, gave us 2 really good blocks, but she got overplayed a little bit by Stephanie White, got tired at points. There was one point where even on broadcast, you could hear that Stephanie White was like, we got to get AB a rotation, but then they left her in for another 2 minutes or something. I don't remember how long it was, but it was way too long. And she was tired of giving up points and giving up more fouls. Natasha Howard gave us clutch baskets down the stretch. She had 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. That is a great night from her. That is a really good night. She was doing a lot for our team, and honestly could have been the MVP despite the other, Kelsey Mitchell scoring and other stuff like that. Those are kind of stats that really are felt in a close game like this. And her minutes on the floor. Sophie had 14 points. Honestly, it felt like 20. She some of the wizardry she was doing to make baskets, of course, no fouls called, but she was making some really tough shots. She also had some phantom fouls of her own, but she fought through it, played very well. Lexi Hull on defense, again, on Paige Beckers, was doing her job, was doing her role, was being effective, but man, oh man, we need points out of her. What we got the other night against the Sky was great. And I'm not asking for that every night. I don't expect that every night. And I don't expect every team we play to be the Sky. But at the same time, I don't expect a goose egg. I don't expect you to go from 17 to 0 points and kind of back into that. And she had a few shots early and then just was either not on the floor or was facilitating to other plays. And we get back into this scenario where players aren't willing to take the shot. And there's some bad clock management moments in this game where we can have a 2-for-1, and instead we hold on the ball too long and we shoot, and now we give the last shot to the wings. Happened in the third quarter. It's just that kind of stuff really just like irks me, because this team is better than that. They should know better than that. And it just makes me really want Clark back. But that's obvious. I think on top of that, Bree Turner actually had some good moments in this game. She gave us a steal. She gave us some points. She only had 4 minutes of play, but in those minutes, she was good. Bibby, man, I think that it's just really tough for me, because the first quarter, she was the reason we were kind of sticking in it. You know, she had 2 threes. She had 3 threes on the night. And she was 2 of our 4 baskets in the first quarter. That's a real stat somehow. And, you know, that was thanks to her. Like, she kept us in the game. However, defensively, she was a bit of a liability. And I think this all kind of folds into our offensive struggles. And I understand we are shorthanded on point guard. I understand that Odyssey Sims, you know, deserves some grace for coming in, and that Ari McDonald is the anomaly. Ari McDonald is not what we should expect from a hardship player to come in and just give us defense, give us offense, give us everything, and be so sharp and have such a high IQ. Honestly, didn't strike me that in the interview she had when she came in, and I think that tonight was kind of a little bit, unfortunately, what I expected, even though I hoped for more. It's very clear, and there's a lot of times that, you know, I will not just jump on the, you know, it's Stephanie White's fault bandwagon. And in all honesty, some of this wasn't Stephanie White's fault. However, like, the rotations are her bag. That is her thing. And as I've already talked about the Aaliyah Boston, kind of how the end of game worked, we'll get into that. But in this game, there are just some rotations where you have to have enough offensive threats in the game. And I think that the big kind of thing poking us in the eye right now is that Demirs Dantas is getting like 12 plus minutes a game, and she's just not been the same after America. Like, she is just not performing up to what we need her to. She only has 2 offensive like moves basically, or threats, and that is, you know, she has the turnaround little fader, which is she's been pretty good at, pretty consistent with. Even up to this, she's been doing decently with that when we are able to feed her, and she's had some good cuts here and there. But then the others are 3, and the 3 has basically just been non-existent. Like, she's been bricking nonstop. And there's nothing that kills her momentum more in this game specifically than her. When we're coming down the court and we pass it out to her on the wing, and she takes that shot, just bricks it, and, like, you know, the crowd then, you know, the energy goes down. You know, like, it's just it's a problem right now. It's one of those things where she should probably be banished to the bench. Yes, she's a big body. Like, people talk about roles and stuff like that. But the problem is like, sure, like, she's a big body, but if she's a big body, but she gives you no like actual offensive threat because she's not scoring and she's not stretching the floor, then really you're just, you know, it's not what we need. I would rather you increase Timpson's minutes. I would rather you increase Bree Turner's minutes. And that is not a position we should be in. And if I am uttering those words, like, you probably should be setting a little bit. That the data's there, the film is there. I think at this point, we should be looking at, again, playing players that are faster and can give us a spark that will get us steals and get us in transition and do stuff. And Dantas is just not that player. She's slower, she's bigger, she's not what we need. Overall, though, like, we shouldn't be losing a game when we're shooting 40% from 3 and our starters are shooting 46% from 3. Our starters crushed this game, but the bench killed it. The bench almost has made turnovers as our starters. They shot 50% from the free throw line. They got outscored by the opposing bench by 20 points in this game. We can do better than this as a team. And while some of it is, you know, players not performing, new players coming in, trying to again find that chemistry, this game just, there was too many points where we looked flat. And again, end of game situation, we get the stop, we get the rebound, we have like 8 or 9 seconds left, and Stephanie White has a reset timeout, and she doesn't call it. She lets them bring the ball down the court, and yes, something could happen, but the problem is, and this is why you normally would call a timeout immediately. Yes, she didn't have a timeout immediately, But part of it is your home crowd can work against you because everybody's freaking out because now like you're going to come down and you're going to potentially score, and that noise stops all your team communication, the communication from your bench into you, time, shot clock, all those things, and you're just running off adrenaline. And so like if you can go and just go and you have an open fast break or something like that, then great. But 9 times out of 10, you call that reset time out there because in the time it takes you to walk down the court, the Fever have great inbound plays. I've seen Kelsey Mitchell open tons of times on inbound plays, and I feel like with a team, when you have that, you have a set of inbound plays in your repertoire, you have to have, calls that you can make. So while they're walking down the court, or even leading up to this moment during previous free throws or whatever, during Kelsey Mitchell's free throws, like Stephanie White should be like to whoever like is on the team, be like, hey, this is what we're going to run if we get into the final situation, we get final shot situation. Like these are the things that you need to do and have prepped. And I feel like that's in their wheelhouse. You just call the reset timeout, you get the ball down the court, and you have 8 or 9 seconds instead of 1.7 seconds where Kelsey Mitchell has to take another corner 3 where she's probably being fouled, but they're never going to call a foul at the end unless it's like really egregious obvious. And so she shoots, she misses, it's way off, and we lose another game by 1 point, a critical game that matters. And again, this is why you were paid the big bucks as a coach, is this kind of management of the team. And I get trusting your players, I get all of these things. And this is, again, a 2020 hindsight kind of thing, but I feel like it's the right call most of the time. So it probably should be the call that we're making in those situations. And it's just tough to lose. And again, proud of the team for fighting back, but you can't put yourself in this big of a hole. It's a tough one to lose. It's a tough one to lose. And I get that it's a downer, but this team is resilient. I think that they have some days now. They have a couple days. They still get to kind of stay at home to run some practices and prep and rest, and really, really need to come out strong against the Mystics, because the Mystics lost Brittany Sykes, but Sonia's been cooking. She's been cooking lately. That team still is very, very dangerous, and the Fever need to come out and they need to get wins. They need to get wins down the stretch, and I hope that they do, and I hope I get to be there to see some of them in the coming days. But man, oh man. Well, let me know down in the comments, what did you think about this game? What was your highlight of this game? Maybe who was the player that you thought should have got more time but didn't in this game, or who you think should have got less time in this game and didn't? I have a feeling I know some of those answers and feelings, but I'd like to know what your opinions are in this game. What maybe you saw that I didn't see in this game. And last not, remember, as always, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. I'll catch you next episode.